Hello, this video is to talk through chemical analysis of the AQA GCSE chemistry, and it's 4.8.3, identification of negative ions, otherwise known as anions. There are 5 different ions that you need to know the tests for. So unlike for the metal ions, where we just add hydroxide, there are actually 3 different tests for these. So I'm going to try and go through these. What I would like you to do, make notes of the key features of this, and then it will help you to answer the questions I set. So first ion is the carbonate ion. That's CO3 2 negative. This is the ion that would be in chalk. So the test for this is to add dilute acid, and it can be any acid. If the question is going through and it says that the student adds hydrochloric acid or nitric acid, they will do. So what you need to have a note of: ion, carbonate, test, add dilute acid. Then the observation, I'll give a moment in case any of you already know it. It is you will get bubbles, otherwise known as effervescence. Most people just write bubbles in an exam, not fancying to try and spell that. And there can sometimes be a second mark. Carbonate releases carbon dioxide. Now you might remember this from the sections in year 10 and early year 11 where you do the reactions of acids. Anytime you add an acid to a carbonate, you get carbon dioxide gas. So this is 2 for the price of 1. There is a bonus mark here where you could also get that you could test the carbon dioxide gas by bubbling it through lime water. And hopefully you can remember that it goes cloudy or milky. So key things, you need to write down the ion, carbonate, the test, dilute acid added, and the observation, bubbles of carbon dioxide. Okay, on to the next one. You need to know the test for sulfate ions. That's SO4 2-. The test for sulfate ions is that you add something called barium chloride solution. Now I've put in the brackets in the presence of dilute hydrochloric acid. That test has to happen in acidic conditions, but the key thing you're looking for is this barium. When you see barium, you need to think sulfate. So that's the bit that you put together in your head, and it's a white precipitate forms. So sulfate, barium, white precipitate. Every single time, if they do any test where there's barium, you know it's sulfate and white precipitate. And I'm going to keep saying it. The repetition will be what gets it in your head. You need to make a note of these and simply go and learn them. The final test is for 3 very similar ions. It's the halide ions, which are the ions of group 7. Now we don't need to know about fluoride, it's just the 3 below it. So the test that you do is you add silver nitrate solution, and again this one's in the presence of a dilute acid. So remembering that barium is for sulfate. If you see the silver, then it's the test for these halides, and each of the 3 halides we need to know about does give a different color. So you need to make notes and know chloride, bromide, iodide, and you need to get that each of them makes precipitate, and they get slightly darker as you go down. So the chloride is a white precipitate. The bromide is a cream precipitate, and the iodide is a yellow. So white, cream, yellow as you go down. Chloride, white, bromide, cream, iodide, yellow. Make a note, find a way to get it in your head. That's the thing that you will have to learn. Okay, so how might they do a question about this? Here's an example question. A student adds dilute nitric acid to a solution containing unknown chemicals. Bubbling is observed. The student then adds silver nitrate solution and a cream precipitate is observed. Which ions are present in the solution? Now I've been a bit tricky here because sometimes this happens in the exam. The key word is ions, not 1, but 2. Pause this if you can, and then try and figure it out using the information you've got, and then check my answer in a moment. So hopefully you selected out the key information that bubbling is observed when the dilute nitric acid was added, and the silver nitrate leading to a cream precipitate. So the bubbling from the acid is the carbonate ion, and the cream precipitate from silver is the bromide ion. So there'll be 2 marks there, 1 for each of them. Thank you very much.